No, for me there's never been any conflict between hip-hop and spirituality. In fact, hip-hop, I think, can be seen as a form of spirituality, or as a form of spiritual practice. You know, if we look at spiritual practice as something that brings us out of the ordinary, out of the mundane, into something extraordinary, into something beyond the confines of the self, then hip-hop can most definitely do that. You know, if you look at a b-boy, right, a breaker, breakdancer, whatever, ordinarily we are led to believe that the human body cannot support its own weight on the weak axis of the neck. But as b-boys know, if you train hard enough, you can get to the point where you can spin your body weight on the axis of the neck to the beat. We have moved from the ordinary to the extraordinary. We have moved outside of the confines of what we believe to be human limitations. If you look at a freestyle rapper, right? We are led to believe that ordinarily it is impossible for the human mind to be both rhyming with the sentence it's just delivered, while at the same time simultaneously creating a rhyming sentence for the subsequent sentence. And yet, as freestyle rappers know, that's totally possible. So we have moved from the ordinary to the extraordinary. Now, I've done enough meditation to know what it kind of feels like, what it tastes like at least. And when I freestyle, which is pretty much the only form of rap I still do nowadays, but when I freestyle, I can taste the meditation. I can taste like I'm in a state of mindfulness. And I thought, well, this is crazy. It feels like I'm in a state of meditation. And I did some research, and they proved it. That is true. They did some research at UCLA in November 2012. It's on a scientific journal called Scientific Reports from UCLA, November 2012. Google it. They put freestyle rappers into fMRI scanners, so kind of magnetic resonance imaging scanners, and got them to freestyle. And what they found was their brain was in a state similar to that of mindfulness meditation. Meaning that they were both one-pointedly focused on the rhymes they were creating, but that focus was set within a broader mindful awareness of the beat, of the music. Do freestyle rappers know they're in a state of meditation? No, probably not. The b-boys, when they're spinning on their head, know that they're in a state of meditation? No, probably not, but they definitely are. Dude, if you're not in a state of meditation when you're spinning on your head, you're going to break your neck. You are most definitely in a state of one-pointed awareness, set within broad mindful awareness of the beat, what the other dancers are doing, what your crew members are doing. Meditation is part of hip-hop practice, true hip-hop practice. And that's not just sitting in your bedroom listening to 50 Cent talk about guns and bitches. You know, F that. This is true spiritual practice when you're doing true hip-hop practice. That's what I think anyway. There's been a link between hip-hop and Buddhism since the germination of hip-hop in the 70s. There's always been a link. Whether it's from the Kung Fu movies, the martial arts that influenced the emergence of b-boy dance. In the later stages, obviously it became much more obvious with the arrival of Wu-Tang Clan, who were naming whole albums after Buddhist texts and Taoist texts. So the links between Buddhism, Taoism and hip-hop have been there since the very beginning. That is unquestionable. What is questionable is the later emergence of like gangster rap. That's questionable. How does that fit in with the framework of Buddhism? Yeah, there's a divergence there. It doesn't fit. But my explanation to that would actually be gangster rap doesn't fit in hip-hop either. To me, gangster rap is like an anomaly that became popularized by white middle-class kids like myself as a teenager, buying those albums as a way to lock into the kind of glamour of gangster rap. But from my point of view, gangster rap has never been part of hip-hop as a cultural movement. You know, it's just completely counterintuitive to what hip-hop's about. I think if you look at the qualities of what make up a hip-hop practitioner and a spiritual practitioner, they're quite similar. They're not the same, but they're quite similar. You know, dedication, training of body and mind, willingness to move beyond the seeming limitations of body and mind through that training. It's a similar vibe. And what I mean here by a hip-hop practitioner isn't just somebody who listens to a bit of hip-hop in their bedroom. I mean somebody who practices one of the 4 elements of hip-hop, which of course are MCing, DJing, b-boying and graffiti. If you look at those 4 elements, they're actually the 4 pillars of most cultural movements, which is why hip-hop is a culture. You know, b-boying, that's the dance element. MCing, that's the words element. Graffiti, that's the art element. And DJing, that's the music element. So it is a hip-hop culture. Now, if you're a practitioner of one of those 4 elements, really dedicated, you know, your lifestyle is based around one of those elements, I think you're going to find somebody who shares a similar level of dedication to somebody on the spiritual path. And yet, we think there's something strange about that. We think there's a conflict there. We think, how can somebody be a spiritual practitioner and be a hip-hop head? How can you make that link? Very easily. It's a very similar level of dedication of mind. And yet, it just doesn't sit right with some people. Weirdly, never before has a hip-hopper said to me, Buddhism? Why are you into Buddhism, man? But on several occasions, Buddhists have said to me, hip-hop? Why are you into hip-hop, man? And yet, who is it who's preaching about non-judgment? I got into the Buddhist scene around the same time I got into the hip-hop scene, properly, anyway. Both hip-hop and Buddhism I had been into since I was about 15 or 16. But it was when I was about 18, 19 that I started taking Buddhism quite seriously, and I also entered into the hip-hop scene. And from the very beginning, those were linked. Because the woman who introduced me to the hip-hop scene, Donna D, I met her at a Buddhist centre on the Caledonian Road. And I was at this kind of meditation workshop or something, and I saw her there with her records box. And I went over and I said, oh, you're a DJ? And I handed her my demo, which was this kind of rap CD with kind of Buddhist-y lyrics and stuff like that. And then we hit it off. And it was Donna who first set up Throwdown. And it was her who taught me how to run events. How to get my music out there. All the kind of involvement in the hip-hop scene was sourced from Donna, who I met at a Buddhist centre. I mean, it wasn't like we set up Throwdown as like a Buddhist hip-hop night, but from the very beginning, we wanted to do something with Throwdown that was unlike other hip-hop nights, that did something to dispel the negative perception of hip-hop as, you know, violent and misogynistic and this kind of stuff. So we wanted to set up a hip-hop night that was like a friendly hip-hop night, that had a good vibe, that had an element of kindness to it, and that provided a platform for people to move beyond their limitations and to be all they possibly can be. And the battles at Throwdown most definitely do that. You know, there are dancers who I've seen come to Throwdown underage, like 17 years old, and started entering battles, and now years and years down the line, they're some of the best b-boys who go there. And it's been so nice to think that we might have provided that platform in some small way for people to grow, for people to develop, not just physically in their dance, but psychologically, and perhaps even spiritually. Well, I'm not leaving the hip-hop scene, I'm just putting my involvement with the hip-hop scene on ice for a little bit, because I really need to concentrate on the Lucid Dream teaching, getting this book out there that I've just had signed and all this kind of stuff. It's actually out of a love for Throwdown that I'm putting it on ice, because Throwdown deserves a certain amount of energy, a certain amount of energetic input from me. And I'm just getting so busy with the lucid dreaming stuff that I can't give Throwdown the energy it deserves. So that's why I'm putting it on ice. It's not because I'm fed up with it or because I'm leaving the scene or turning my nose up at the scene. No, not at all. I truly believe I'll come back and put on events again. Maybe next year, maybe the year after. But for now, I need to concentrate on the lucid dream teaching. I need to concentrate on getting this book out there. And who knows? Maybe in the future I'll combine them. And we'll do, I don't know, lucid dreaming hip-hop events. We'll have like a breaking battle, and then we'll have a nap or something and do some lucid dreaming. I don't know, I haven't really thought that far ahead. But the hip-hop scene's been so much to me. It's taught me so much, and it's taught me how to teach, actually. Every event that I've organised, every b-boy event I've organised, every breaking battle I've ever hosted, that's taught me how to communicate. So when I now teach, that's through the training that hip-hop's given me. Writing lyrics, that helped me write the book. That gave me the training of how to put words together. I don't see a divergence here at all. I see it as an evolution. And there's loads of people in the hip-hop scene who are also into dream work, into meditation, into spirituality. And perhaps I can be a bridge between those two scenes. I'd love for that to happen in the future, and in fact now.